I'm currently in the process of orchestrating a Canvas course. It's a complete fresh build. There's no content in this course. There's no source course. It's not a migration. The instructor sent me kind of like a syllabus, but it contained all of the modules week by week, like what they wanted students to do. It had syllabus elements in it, so there's enough for syllabus to be created, and the textbook. So what I did is I have a very elaborate working directory on my computer that has design file data sets for UBD, TRADOC, which is understanding by design principles, Bloom's taxonomy, rigor and relevance. It also has ideologies on the actual course design. It's got design elements, a directory in there where it defines the CSS, the HTML styles, the JavaScript libraries that are allowed, Python function formatting. It has what else in there? A lot of instructions on how to create discussions, assignments, quizzes. In Canvas, quizzes are very difficult, and the issue is that the way I want them built is as item banks, so that I have the item bank with like chapter 1, 80 questions, and then it'll deploy a quiz. So sometimes your modules, an instructor wants students to read chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 1, chapter 4, whatever they want, can then be pulled from the bank. You could pull 20 questions from chapter 1, 20 questions from chapter 4, and have them be randomly pulled from the main bank and deployed to a quiz. So you can dynamically allocate questions that are relevant to the entire module for a kind of module comprehension. Now, online quizzing, in my opinion, is useless. I can use AI to pass any quiz, but I tell my students it's more of a self-check for yourself to help you understand how well you grasp the reading or retain the reading. So it's low value, very low value assessment and points. The assessments I try to have instructions in the working directory for the model to use the library databases, because regular AI is stopped at pretty much a paywall. They can't get in without SSO. Most students don't know how to do that with AI. It is possible, but I haven't experienced anyone using that. So we, instead of pulling the PDF from the library databases, we link directly to it, because through SSO the student has access to the library database and article, and then we build assignments around the textbook reading, the instructor lecture or PowerPoints in conjunction with the relevant related article, and we have them do analysis, synthesis, compare and contrast, or some other type of demonstration skill. And that's process based, that builds from one module or assignment week to the next, and then that becomes a midterm, or a midterm like culmination, or by the final it could act as a portfolio. And then all of this is orchestrated, and what you're seeing on the computer screen are 3 AI agents driven by AI, working directory, remote server, Canvas API. This is part of a migration process, so it also involves Moodle. So we could have Moodle as a source course if there was a course that existed. This particular example, it doesn't, but if it did, it could be incorporated. So the AI agents basically follow the working directory, all the protocols, parameters, data sets, and they go through and they start building the course as I would. It's trained on my instructional design, my teaching, my pedagogy, but it's also following the instructor or the subject matter expert, their lectures, their videos, their transcripts from videos, everything that's put into the data set for the course build. And what used to take maybe 2-3 instructional designers 6 weeks can occur within a matter of a few hours. This particular class, I think, will have around 1,860 item bank questions. There's, I think, 85 question banks for the one text and 7 banks for the supplementary text, and those are deployed through quizzes that where the supplemental text reading begins in, say, module 3 or 4. It'll keep the quiz at the same number of questions. I think for this this class it's 20, and so it'll proportionally assign like 15 questions from the main text and 5 from the supplemental reading, so that it's spread across. Again, there's not much use in online, especially online classes, fully online classes, asynchronous, multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank, those types of questions. However, it is a good check for the students, and the assignments are rigorous and built well, along with discussions, and all of the assignments are aligned with rubrics, student facing in the assignment definitions as well as the Canvas rubrics, and then all of the course outline or course outcomes are also aligned. And what you have there is being able to audit the course separate from the assignment rubrics. You get an outcome rubric, a 4-point scale, for instance, and you can see how they're doing. And that 4-point scale rubric will correlate to program learning outcomes if you design it right, with the sub-account level outcomes and program learning outcomes set at the Canvas level. This is possible to do with Moodle, Canvas. I don't know about Blackboard. I don't have access to know if it has API access for LTI creation and OpenAI integration, or whatever LLM model is your choice. This is being powered on my other screen that's not on camera by Codex, and Codex is kind of running the show. You can also run this in Visual Studio, and then it pulls from the working directory of my computer. Now, if I wanted to implement other elements for faster speed, for instance, I could deploy data sets onto a remote server, so that if the pipeline to the main internet is bigger than my home connection, I could take advantage of a remote hosting solution on a LAMP stack or even a Windows machine, whatever your flavor is. So this is what it looks like to have advanced AI orchestration occur. So you can see that it's very fast. There's quite a few chapters. It's on chapter 33, and it's I think there's 102 total chapters or something like that. So it takes a little bit, but I can say, as an instructional designer with 25 years of experience and teaching experience at the college and public school level, I could not work this fast. It's quite amazing. And that's what it looks like when you deploy AI orchestration in combination with working directories, remote server, OpenAI, or whatever your flavor LLM is. It does take an enormous amount of work. I can actually pull Windows onto the screen. I think I'll show some of my working directory. I just have to get it so it's looking appropriate here. So we are working on AI orchestration, and we're working on a history class, and I don't want any names to show here, so I'm going to actually just change my directory readout here. But you can see, let's make this much smaller so it works on screen. You can see here, this is one of the working directories. One of the working directories, and you have a lot of you get agent reports, and with the agent reports you've got all the different agents reporting in. You've got a course design agent, you've got an enforcer, you've got a question quality checker, you've got textbook banks where they're reviewing the banks. So having those agents double checking does increase the reliability, And having the AI, and you can see the codex window here too. That's kind of what's going on with there. Having the AI agents doing quality check works well, but what's really critically important is to really narrow the data sets. You can't, you really need to have a hard, like I shouldn't say hard, a PDF version of the textbook, or have a way to access the textbook, because you don't want the AI trying to run out on the web to find information. That's why I use library databases. It really constrains it so the data sources are empirical. They're kind of like in a generative AI world, the primary source. It doesn't go out and find a different version, a different edition, a different version, a different language, a watered down version of some text. I learned this many years ago with having AI hallucinations and misalignment and things like that. Now, the scary thing is, just to kind of jump off on a little bit of an educational note, is I don't really want to give too much away as to how I do this as an instructor in that capacity, as because the same way I can build a course, there's been reports coming out of Arizona with some of the universities noticing that students are deploying fairly sophisticated AI agents that are probably running on orchestration models similar to this, where they are doing the coursework. The problem is that these students are students who's, most likely it's reported, I don't know for sure if this is true, but they've had their identities stolen. So if a hacker was able to secure students' ID and get into a college and somehow get financial aid, if they put the agent in the class, the agent would most likely have very little problems securing the 66 or 65% pass rate to maintain the financial aid checks coming to the person. So this is going to be a growing problem. Now, one thing that you're witnessing on the screen is basically AI controlling a browser, and as you can see, it's not very human-like. It's very fast. It's just way too fast. So network administrators could put protocols within their network scanning systems like Spiceworks or whatever they use, in theory, that could identify these abnormal, hyper-fast, non-human page changes, metadata, and some of the extensions that AI uses. Like this has permission to use the Chrome extension for ChatGPT and OpenAI. If it doesn't have that, more stealthy ways to get browser manipulation like this is to use Playwright, some other things like that. And when you see those types of things deployed within sessions and browsers, it's in theory likely that you can detect them. So there's that. So there might be a way that we can actually detect if students are attempting to use AI agents in a course. If not at the network level, it may be very possible at the LMS level. I don't think Canvas's logs are detailed enough to pick it up, but definitely a system like Moodle would have the sophistication within the logs and IP tracking that it has, to where I think you could potentially, you may have to add in some more PHP into the logs of Moodle, but I think you could detect it. And I think moving forward with as fast as AI is developing, it's going to be critically important. And on a last note, I don't want this video to be too long. If you're using the AI on this level and orchestration to this level, you're going to start to notice, and it doesn't really matter which LLM model you're using, the rate at which it's learning what you're doing, and the rate that the LLM itself is learning is astounding. I see changes, if not on a daily basis, every other day. It just will start doing something new on its own, and it's exciting, it's surprising, but at the same time it's also kind of worrying. What you're seeing on the screen is jailed at the root pragmatic level to the course ID. I haven't had any issues. I've tested this. I've done this many times now, and I don't have problems. I don't have mistakes. If I do have a mistake, 9 times out of 10, it's me that's the one that makes the mistake, and the system has fail safes to catch it and not have an issue. Keeping it jailed at the user level, I think, is critical. Although I do have to use this for system-wide updates due to the circumstances of my situation, or I should say the school situation. There are just some things that you have to do that require so much work that it would be just it would be unfathomable. It would be a massive project back 10-15 years ago it'd be like reorganizing all your question banks in your entire LMS system at an institution. That would be a huge 2-year long project that you would do. And now you can use orchestration to do that. You can also use orchestration to clean up question banks. I know a lot of institutions that use Canvas are paying for things like, I think it's called Tidy Up. Don't hold me to that, I'm probably wrong. I know Tidy's right, but I'm not sure if it's Tidy Canvas or Tidy Course or Tidy Up or whatever it is, to get rid of the question duplication, or not question duplication, but the template duplication that happens when you use templates and you are doing course imports. So I hope this was interesting. Sorry that it's stuck in the land of question banks. We're now up to 45 with the time that this video took. Once it finishes these, it will continue on and it will continue to develop the course. As a last caveat, one thing I might be able to do is kind of jump in here. Let me make sure that let's just go to modules, and it's not done yet, but you can get some idea of the level of design that is happening in the course. So you've got your modules, you're getting started, module 1, module 2. Now, I mentioned briefly at the beginning of this video the TRADOC design format overlaid on top of UBD. The back end of the course, all the outcomes, all the design of the course is understanding by design. However, understanding by design, in my experience, doesn't work as well when it's student facing. So TRADOC refers to military TRADOC, and they have something called Task Action Standard. And I encountered this at the school I work at. I did not come up with this, it was there. This read, watch, do idea. So the modules have headers in them that kind of indicate to students what they need to read, then what they need to watch or listen to, and then what they need to do. So I put that into the data sets of the orchestration process, and so that's why you see read, watch, do resonate throughout the modules. So in the top of the modules, you'll get an overview and to-do list. This is probably not complete, but it's getting there. There'll be links later on. There'll be the learning objectives are starting to be written in, and you've got the required readings. So these will become links, and it'll also probably get put into, it's already starting to build it into the read, watch, do format here with module pathway. And you can tweak this process if you don't like it, or if you don't like how it goes, because in orchestration you don't have to reorchestrate the entire class. You can pinpoint and surgically change elements with anywhere within Canvas. It can be in the syllabus, it can be in the grades, it can be in the rubrics, it can be in the assignments, it can be in the people. It really can be any element. The only one element that's weak in what you're watching right now with the browser is the question banks, because if you've ever used Canvas, you know that that's the weakest part of the system, is both their question bank engines. And so from there, you got modules, and you've got your overviews, and then you've got different assignments. And let's see if it's completed the quality checks. So let's look at this investigation. So currently right now all these pages are looking the same. So I'm on the final course cleanup pass. It's going to give slight variation to these pages, so everything doesn't look like it was built by a computer. And it'll also add in thematic icons that relate to the subject area of the course. So music, it's like music notes and drumsticks and different little things, just as a hint of a differentiation of the course. And then the front page is always we have a default template we run on, but then the orchestration process will really kind of make the front page template a lot more professional and specific to the course, while still conveying our university's logo, emblems, colors, our culture, our feel. And so these all kind of happen in course development under orchestration in levels of waves. So hope you've enjoyed this video. I just thought I would share kind of the frontier, or at least what I consider to be the frontier of, it's not really instructional design anymore. I don't even like to say that. It's instructional design. It's an instructional development. It's development. It's programming. It's pedagogy. It's assessment. It's it's curriculum and assessment. And in some ways, I joked before with friends. I've said it's basically like being an instructional diagnostician. You have to diagnose issues and problems in courses and with assessment, outcomes, engagement with students. That's a big one. One of the things I think I mentioned tying into the library databases for articles. It really makes it difficult for the students to use AI, like I said, without an orchestration. So again, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I wanted to share what my process is. Hope you enjoyed.